Hello everyone, my name is Hatchet and I'm making a video about the jungle changes between Source 1 and Source 2 DotA. I made a video before, it was slightly incorrect, and I wanted to make one that showed off both versions just so that it was visually shown rather than me explaining about it. And the this video will be correct because of that, even though I was wrong the first time. So in Source 2, in order to connect it's Source 1 rather, in order to get behind these trees here, we have to cut this tree and this tree. And in order to connect into the medium camp, we also have to cut down this tree. And this is different in Source 2, in that this tree is less close to the cliff here, so you can actually path into the medium camp, ignoring this tree. This tree is also less close to the cliff here, and you can actually path around the right side of it, and I'll show that off when we get to the Source 2 version. So these two trees don't have to be, or this tree doesn't have to be cut down in order to connect into the medium camp, and you can walk around to this tree however you want. Meanwhile, in Source 2, all three of these trees have to be cut down. This tree is currently optional. It just helps the pathing between the two camps to cut it down. But it is optional to cut down in Source 1. In Source 2, it's not optional. So you still have to cut 3 trees in this location in order to connect the two in Source 2, as I'll show. But it's these 3 trees, and then these trees don't matter. I don't know if that's the way it is in Warcraft, but that's the way it is in Source 2, and it's not the way it is in Source 1. So next, we've got this camp, and that tree is the same in Source 2. You can come in through this camp this way. But in Source 2, this tree doesn't exist. So in order to get into this camp, this medium camp, in Source 2, we only have to cut down this tree, but in Source 1, there's this tree as well. And then in both versions, you can cut down this tree in order to get into this medium camp. And you can cut down any of these trees to get into that small camp. So next we move our way to the dire side jungle. So in both the Source 1 and Source 2, you can cut down this tree here, and then you can cut down either one of these 2 trees and you can path into this medium camp. It's the same with this tree, except you have to cut down this tree if you cut down this tree. So cutting down both of these trees, or this tree and this tree, becomes a thing. I believe this tree is farther forward a little bit, or it might just be that the camp is slightly placed different. But there's no major changes between connecting this camp with your direction to mid. However, connecting this medium camp to the large camp is different in Source 2 because this tree right here doesn't exist. This tree is still here and this tree is still here, but that tree does not exist, the one I just cut. So you can cut either this tree or this tree in Source 2 and connect to the large camp. And then the last change from Source 1 to Source 2 is this tree is a different location in Source 2, or maybe this cliff is like slightly weird in Source 2. But as you can clearly see in Source 1, you can move this way and get behind this small camp, cut down this tree, and you're connected. And this tree is either too far down, or this cliff is not, excuse me, correct in Source 2, and you can't connect those two. So that's it for showing it off in Source 1. So I'm going to quit out of this and open up Source 2, and I'm going to do the same thing, except this time you'll see all these different changes from the Source 2 side. I really don't care about the game update unless they fix the trees. Okay. I don't know if it actually... It's letting me create the lobby, so apparently I either wasn't out of date or the 64-bit client was out of date and they had an update for that or something. In any case, all I had to do was relaunch the game. So maybe it was just really small and it fixed. I didn't really pay attention.
I'll pick.
Random hero so I can buy boots. And the calling blade. I'm so bad at finding things on this side of the tree.
Prepare for battle.
I normally put everything I want in my suggested items. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about with the trees over here. This tree isn't as flush up against the cliff, or the cliff is like better or something. It's not as blocky or whatever. And I think it's the same with this tree too. You can actually walk behind this tree in Source 2, and I don't believe that's true in Source 1. So going through here, you can walk behind this tree, and you can walk behind this tree, and you can walk around this tree, and you can get into this area. And what that lets you do is you can pull this camp down into this area, and as long as the units aren't farther up than like this,
to battle.
You can actually stack this camp and sort of just jungle that way. So in Source 1, I would be able to walk around this tree, but this cliff looks like it was modified in some way. So I can't actually just cut down those two trees and connect. I have to cut down this tree. So it's still the same number of trees to connect these two camps. It's just a different way of doing it. And I think it's... I don't know if it's better or worse, but it's different, and you can jungle more efficiently without having to need a... I mean, you would probably still buy a calling blade to kill the creeps with, but you don't have to cut down the tree here in order to get them to spawn. And you can always just stand on this rock. And I think it's 2 rocks in Source 2. There's another little one right here. Or in Source 1, it's 2 rocks. There's another little one right here. It's just 1 rock in Source 2. But if standing on that will allow both camps to spawn. It's the same tree here in Source 2. You cut it down and you can connect into this area. Though in Source 2, you only have to cut that tree in order to connect into the river lane, as I mentioned. Cut down this tree to connect into the medium camp here. And then any of these trees will connect into the small. So we'll go ahead and make our way towards these trees. Okay, so like I mentioned, you can cut down this tree, and then either this tree or this tree. I don't know if it just looks farther up to me, or if I can get farther up because the pathing is better. But you can always cut down this tree to connect, or you can cut down this tree. And then on this side, you'll notice that that tree that I said was gone is gone. Or else this is just completely different, and these are the trees that were there before or something. But now I can just cut down this tree and connect, or I can cut down that tree and connect to the large camp. It's a weaker connection or whatever, or a weaker barrier.
Your top tower is burning.
So the last important thing is this one, and I can't make my way back here. I believe the cliff is actually too close. It's too close to the tree. Whether the tree is supposed to block this or not, I don't know. But it doesn't in source 1 and it does in source 2. And then if I had cut this tree, I could have walked into the small camp, but I died before I could do that. And that's it. This is an extra tree. This tree doesn't exist. This tree doesn't exist. The way that the cliff and the trees interact here is different. These 3 trees have to be cut rather than these 2 trees, but it's the same amount of
Your
trees
middle
that have to
tower
be
is on
cut to
fire.
connect these 2 areas. And that's the video. Thanks for watching.